Hello, welcome back to the BCS podcast, season 2. We've made it. Went on a bit of a summer hibernation. We went down south for the summer. Reverse hibernation. It is what it is. I mean, come on, it's Big Ten country. We're all about the winter up here, anyway. So, gentlemen, how are we doing?
Hello. How's it going? Everything's good.
You can go first, Zack. Go ahead. Ladies first, so go ahead.
Oh, jeez.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know. Back at school, haven't fully moved in yet, but we're getting there. Excited for football. Excited for sports in general. Excited to not have to just watch baseball every single day. We're getting to that key point of the year where the next few months is going to be one sport starting after another, which is going to be really exciting. Yeah, I mean it's a good point in the year because everybody's ready for football, and then it just transitions right into other sports, which is perfect. So not a huge gap like it was all summer where it's outdoor time and doing all this random stuff. But we're back, we're ready to go, and we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this: a week ago, there was like that little bit of like 75-degree day and like 45 at night, and you felt like fall was coming. And then this week, I'm just not ready for the game because it's 95 degrees in the shade, and it's just like it is sweltering hot in Columbus the past few days. But cold front's coming through on Saturday morning, and it's going to be like 75. Might rain the whole day, actually. So
it's supposed to be about 90 here.
Good thing you run the football now. But
yeah, I know, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, same here with me. I know I have a new background and everything here. I'm moving into a new spot as well. Just finished up the sailing season. I remember on Monday I was just sitting there like, this is the last Monday for like 3 months without football. God bless. Because I'm sick of caring about baseball and getting way too emotionally invested in WNBA. Yes, that's a thing that happened this summer. Listen, all right, we can talk. A lot of soccer as well. Soccer actually helped out a lot. But yeah, we have a little list
and Summer Olympics.
That too.
Yeah, Summer Olympics. U.S. dominated. Shocker.
Big Ten country, Olympics. U.S. All that. Yeah, how it goes. A lot of Big Ten.
Yeah, we didn't dominate like we could have.
Yeah. My favorite thing, though, like I don't know if you guys saw this. I think I probably sent it to you. The new conferences posting about the new teams and conferences, like the ACC was like, we run the Olympics, Stanford run show. And then SEC's like, let's go Scotty Scheffler, SEC champion, golf champion. It's like, guys, come on, get a grip. Get a grip.
Yep.
If it's like an active student, it makes sense. But like, seeing the Big 12 post about the French guy from ASU, I'm like, come on, dude.
Yeah. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when Big Ten Network goes back and plays Nebraska games from the 90s or like Maryland basketball championship from like 2000. Yeah. It's like it's Maryland versus Indiana, the Big Ten matchup for the title. And it's like they were in the ACC. Let's keep it that way. They were in the ACC.
Oh, God. Yeah, it was just so funny. It's like the SEC now is like running show, Texas, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, guys, come on. But, I mean, USC, Big Ten. I mean, come on. You know how it goes. But yeah, so that was kind of what we did for the summer. I guess we could just overall do a quick little like transfers and recruit stuff. I know Zack had a ton of transfers. Obviously, his whole program got basically transferred over in and out.
So I saw a stat today. They released it because they released the roster today. 61 new players on the team that were there last year, which is crazy.
Probably want it though, you know.
Yeah, I'm pretty much expecting probably close to double digits on starting or getting major playing time. I think that there's close to 10 new players, especially at key positions, that should be starting. I mean, quarterback's the big one. That's an obvious one. An 18-year-old sophomore in his first ever start on Friday night is going to be a very, very interesting thing, but it's very exciting. It's a good way to start the fresh new era and see what changes, and then like having true leaders. I mean, I think we have named 5 captains this year, and 4 out of 5 of them were transfers at one point. So that's a huge showing on the leadership that they're bringing in right off the bat. A lot of them were seniors, but to have an 18-year-old quarterback who got named captain by his teammates is pretty exciting, pretty good thing to start off with. So we'll see where it goes from here. But I'm excited to actually see some football on the field.
Yeah, one of the weird things I saw was the problem is you had so many guys leave. Who was the one that went to ECU? Was that Hauser?
Yeah, Hauser.
He like had that interview where he talked about like the new coach. He's like, yeah, I've been in the new coach's office a bunch, blah, blah, blah. I went to Techer's office once and I committed. That was it.
Yeah,
it's damn. Like, I was like, granted, I did the fake sport in college. I was like, I was in my coach's office like twice a week. So that's kind of crazy.
It shows the difference in having a quality coaching staff on how much they care. I mean, you see these guys. I mean, they're talking about it's the most random stuff, but like, yeah, we used to be all flashy and wanted to do this, and our coach drives his own personal car. You won't even take a vehicle from the school to drive to class or to drive to the office every day. It's like they're just ready to play football. I think it's just a huge change, and it's a good thing to see. But yeah, I know every team had a couple great transfers. The Ohio State team had a couple insane transfers that should be playing in big positions this year.
Recently went viral again because of Lane Kiffin's tweet again. He's always up to something.
I mean, we so obviously Judkins, that was a big one. Future down the road, Julian Sayin. I mean, we kind of already touched on that. Caleb Downs, as some people like to say, that backup quarterback from Kansas State. Will Howard, probably going to be a starter for us. I mean, he's been named the game one starter, but we'll see. I mean, people can doubt all they want. He's won a conference championship, so.
Yes, so did Cardell Jones.
And actually, Cardell Jones won a national championship.
Well, he won both, but you're not like, whatever. Adrian Martinez also helped win that, but carry on.
Oh. No. There were quite a few transfers. Spring ball was interesting. Obviously, the spring game, you didn't see much other than one Michigan fan deciding to show up at our spring game, which was really awkward and weird. And
listen, I go to our spring game every year, and there's always an Ohio State guy there too. So it goes both ways.
Just wait till the actual season. Come on.
Both of our games were on Fox. I mean, I think both of our spring games had more viewership than half these conferences combined. So that's pretty fun.
And we were the first spring game on Fox, so props to us. Thanks for copying us.
We have ours on 420 every year. We have a great time, right, man?
And hey, we named 4 captains this year. Cody Simon's going to be wearing the Blocko jersey, which is pretty cool for him. And Mecca Mbuka, obviously, I mean, dude is like leading one of the best wide receiver rooms in the country. Glad to see Travion get his named captain. And then last but not least, someone who I think is going to be a huge impact, Jack Sawyer. He was probably the only guy who showed up for the Cotton Bowl. I literally don't think anyone else decided that they were going to try out there. I mean, it was let's go through the motions and let's get back to Columbus and call it an off season. But no, he had 3 tackles for losses, 4 sacks in the game. I mean, he was an animal in the game, but the rest of the team just sucked. So it was nice to see, like, hey, you know what? We're going to regroup, and we're number 2 in the country now. So, I mean, go from literally, like, possibly, like, almost feeling like death in the middle of December to what we are now. Like, it is a total 180. So, but other than that, how was your spring and end of that? And we can touch on hockey if you want. Like,
yeah, I mean, we had a lot going on. Michigan didn't portal much. Obviously, I've covered on the channel a lot of basically what the hell's been going on. Whether it's defending Netflix documentaries, series of allegations, all that nonsense. That's basically was Michigan's offseason. Also, the week and a half where we had like 4 DUIs and 3 different D-line coaches. But yeah, people are having a good time celebrating. In terms of transfers, you're going to want to know Jashawn Barham, the linebacker. This dude is Devin Bush. If Devin Bush did like crazy amounts of TRT, he's the Trend Twins version of Devin Bush. Basically, he's taller, faster, stronger. He sneaky might be one of the best linebackers in Michigan history and hasn't played a snap yet. I know that's crazy to say, but I mean, Ohio State fans are saying the same thing with Caleb Downs. You know how it goes. With this new transfer portal, you get these like built, ready, unbelievable guys already in the team, and it's sick. Like he's going to be unbelievable, and that's pretty much it. I'm a transfer front. Everyone else is going to be depth pieces, still don't know who my quarterback is yet. We're assuming it's Alex Orji. For a while, it was Tuttle. Tuttle is older than me, so that was a bit of a worry. And then Davis Warren is in. What I've been saying with Davis Warren is if you can beat cancer, surely you can beat Ohio State. We'll see if that works out. Because he was it appears that he was an unranked guy. He was like a top 100 guy in California. Then they got hit with the cocoa, and then he got leukemia. It was a brutal. You thought your COVID was bad. How about his? So, but he fought off. The coolest story I said with him was he and JJ would visit the Mott Hospital together, and they'd be like, "Oh my God, JJ!" And then Davis would show him that he's got the same like scars that they do, and they're like, "Whoa!" So it'd be really cool to see if he gets it done. Obviously, Twitter and social media would love it more if 4G starts for obvious intensive purposes. But other than that, kind of same old at Michigan. You've lost a ton on both sides of the ball, so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens this year. I will probably, after week 2, I'll be as cocky as I was last year. But listen, I had to milk it last year because I knew what was going on. This year, I'm actually very excited. I know a lot of Michigan fans won't say this because they'll be like, "Oh, we're going to be great. We didn't cheat." Blah, 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 blah. A lot of stuff changed. And I'm like genuinely curious to see what happens. I think our defense should be better. Everyone's saying that we could go under at 9-3, I think, are insane. Worst case scenario, we're Iowa. Seriously. I mean, but obviously we have, good tight ends, good line, good run game, questionable quarterback. That's the worst case scenario. And I think that we have a way more high upside defense than Iowa did. So we'll see what happens. But Colson Loveland's another guy you want to see this year. I think he's going to be Brock Bowers-esque. I got yelled at earlier today when I said he was our wide receiver 1. They're like, "That's not a flex."
Yeah, no,
I understand it's not a flex, but it's the truth, and he's unbelievable. So relax.
When you were talking about that, I'm like, their number 1 receiver had 22 catches last year. Like
that's what I'm saying.
Like come on,
yeah, Roman Wilson and Cornelius. Not really much to write home about, but you don't really need that. And then obviously Don Edwards will step up. Mr. Ohio, Jordan Marshall's starting to get reps already as that running back 3, which would be really cool. Because after this year, the production goes off a cliff. Everyone's gone. Because last year we lost everyone, and this year we'd lose everyone else. So it'll be a completely different team next year. But hey, we got the Natty while we had it. So we can move on to the other sports, which Michigan had a lot of fun in the other sports. Obviously, Michigan was getting ragdolled by Michigan State the entire year. So we had to, as a one wise man once said, put little brother in their place and end their season. That was very fun because we were like 1-3, 1-4 against you guys, and like $1 billion to nothing on aggregate. I was actually Zach and I both were in attendance at the Pizza Arena watching Michigan lose and choke again to Sparty, but thankfully in the midget arena we got it done. And then
the midget arena was correct.
It was like 2,000 people in there.
It was nuts. I don't know how they do that. They need to just have it hosted at the schools.
Or like have the closest NHL if you want to get like big. I don't know if you do though, but I'd say almost like, if you look at do it like the NIT where it's like home until you get to a certain point.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
That just seems like it makes sense.
I like that. Yes.
Have like the Michigan State regional.
Yep. Exactly. That's how it should be. The number 1 team in each region should host the game.
Choose like a local arena or some bullshit.
Hockey's very interesting because our team retained a lot. We only lost a couple of players. Our new captain, Red Savage, who has probably the greatest name in college hockey.
Go Wings.
Red Wings prospect. It should be interesting to see what happens. Our schedule is going to be pretty favorable. There's a couple teams that I would say got better, like Minnesota. Minnesota and Wisconsin kind of stayed the same level or got better. It should be interesting to see what happens. They released the schedule today. I haven't looked through all of it yet. But that's going to be the big thing. The one thing I'm looking at is how many of these players are actually going to be playing in the big, I forget what they're calling it, the frozen confines or whatever. It's going to be interesting because of the dates. I think that the dates are really poor because it's going to be the World Juniors at the time. I don't know exactly when the World Juniors start, but I have been told that there's probably a chance that most teams will be down a bunch of players because they do the GLI and now this Frozen Confines around the same time. So it's going to be interesting to see how many of the players are actually playing. We'll touch more on that in a little bit. We'll go through the season kind of idea. But yeah, most of our captains are all juniors, so big leadership going into this year. Trey's still around, so it's gonna be kind of a, I mean, I wouldn't say natty or bust type season, but it's gonna almost be a natty or bust type season because of the fact that we retain so many players and have such a veteran team now of a great start.
He's really putting himself
conference
out
champions.
There. He's really putting himself out there. I mean,
and look,
I have to say,
it doesn't matter if you got tournaments going on. People forget Michigan won the Big Ten and won the dual in the D while our entire team was winning the gold and silver medal in the Olympics.
Yeah.
USA and Canada, unfortunately.
Yeah. So it should be interesting. I think the one thing that, other than that weekend of the combines, is going to be, how the playoffs are structured, who has the seeding. I know that there's a home series. One of the host cities is Toledo this year, so that'd be awesome if we kind of snuck our way into that and put a team in that. So it should be interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a great thing to look forward to, especially for hockey, because it was such a rowdy arena last year. I think it's going to get even better.
You want to know what I'm kind of looking forward to as well? OSU women's hockey. They get to play Wisconsin in those friendly confines. That'll be interesting. That's a rematch of the national championship. So, I mean, look, that has become it's the USA versus Canada in women's hockey of college. I mean, Ohio State, Wisconsin have met pretty much every year at some capacity in the tournament, in the playoffs, stuff like that. They always battle it out for the conference championship. It's going to be very nice to see at Wrigley Field now. Look, last year, if you watched any women's hockey games, even in the Frozen Four, even in the tournament, they were the two best teams by far.
Yeah, it wasn't
like OSU was smoking people 7-1. Wisconsin would come out and win 5-1, and it was like it's not even close. And then a great championship game. So that was our spring title.
I think Michigan is in the process of getting a varsity team. I'm not totally sure.
I think both schools are in the process right now.
They're talking about it, and I think they got a charter they played a few club games at Yost last year. I know, which was a big.
Yeah, they're both club level teams right now. But I've been hearing
Bacon. Yeah, John Bacon's a big advocate of that. He's like a big known, more of a Harbaugh guy, but obviously he's a professor at Michigan as well.
So. The one thing that I would say is, and I think we've all admitted this, as far as college hockey growing, they're gonna have to change the rule of where the arena is.
Yeah.
Like the rule is, you have to have to be a D1 program, you have to have the arena on campus. If they change that rule, you're probably looking at a good 10 to 12 teams that you're going to add.
They're actually allowing teams that already have a school, like Western Michigan, is moving their rink next season off.
Oh, they're moving their rink off?
Yeah, they're putting it in the same rink as their basketball or something. It's going to be in downtown Kalamazoo.
So
I don't know if it's this season or next season because they still have to build it. So I think it's going to be one more.
So it's kind of one of those things like a grandfathered in, like if you're already D1, you can move, but to get to D1, you have to have it on campus.
Yeah, that seems like it's like a gateway to get into that. But I mean, because like I always say, like whenever I go down to Tennessee or one of these SEC schools, everyone's got Tennessee's like the Tennessee hockey jersey on. All the SEC jerseys are sick. The South Carolina one,
the North Carolina ones are probably the coolest jerseys.
NC State had like a crazy game or something. Right?
I can tell you for a fact, Oregon would definitely be in. They would definitely have a team. So would Washington. That's a huge rivalry. Auburn and Alabama, they're already talking about building a new arena on campus so they can move to D1.
Yeah, I mean, you saw what Alabama just did with their golf. I mean, my goodness.
That was I mean, they just spent $300 million, I think it was.
I went by for my sister's graduation. We stayed at the Airbnb right by the Tennessee golf spot, and I was like, this place is nicer than the clubs we got back home.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not. So yeah, I mean that friendly or the Frozen Confines game is going to be 2 days. It's right after the Winter Classic between the Blues and the Blackhawks.
Yep.
It's January 3rd. Friday is going to be.
Blackhawks are scared of the Red Wings.
It's 2 games. January 3rd is Ohio State, Michigan men's. and then Penn State, Notre Dame, which are back to back, and then Saturday is going to be that women's game in the WCHA, which is Ohio State, Wisconsin, and then
We should
MSU.
get the women's in between the men's. Maybe you can get it on TV and people stay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
no one's going to go just for the women.
Yeah.
Obviously, they will, but you know what I mean.
And then the nightcap that day on Saturday is going to be Wisconsin, Michigan State, which should be interesting. I think the biggest news of hockey that I could say that's happened in the last couple of weeks is Michigan losing Rutger McGroarty to the league. I think that's a big move because it was really unexpected. He was saying, I'm back. And then 1 week before school starts, he's like, yep, I'm getting traded and I'm going to the NHL. So it's really interesting to see what happened there. And
yeah, well, it's the franchise he went to. So
yeah.
So, I mean, that's just how it goes. So,
I mean, I hate that franchise probably more than you guys do.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So that whole trade happened, and then so he got moved up. So that was their pretty much their cap.
Think about it, man. All of my damn guys are on the what's it called? The fucking Blackhawks. They're on the Blue Jackets or the Penguins. You could not be serious. And now I got JJ McCarthy on the Vikings. Can I get one guy on one of my teams, or even a neutral team?
And here's the thing:
all the Wings guys are Sparty.
We were rumored to trade for him too.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. We almost got him because we would have had every Michigan player basically.
I mean, the Czar's gonna be setting up Bedard for 100 goals this year.
All right. Now we can do a football preview.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, well, we got hoops still too, real quick.
Hoops, yeah.
And do you really want to talk about hoops?
Two of us got new coaches. A lot of stuff happened.
We're probably gonna be three of the top.
Two of us got new coaches, but let's be honest here. Our coach, he ended the season, and I think he did pretty well.
He did very well. I would say
he told Coach Cal no. That was the craziest part of the offseason.
Yeah.
I'm glad with that. I'm actually thrilled with that. I do not a fan of Coach Cal.
He can't beat Michigan teams. I mean, they would kind of fit the culture over there right now. Oh, shoot.
Yeah, he can't beat Oakland, so it's fitting.
But yeah, Dusty May, he is in. He's officially a Big Ten coach. He just added his son to the roster, so he kind of gets the vibe that you got to have your little white son that can't play basketball be on the team.
Do you not have a law in place where you can't do that?
I don't know. We still have Jace Howard still on the team. He didn't get the hint to get off. This is the funniest part.
No, I'm just saying he hired his son. I thought you weren't allowed to do that because.
Oh no, his son is on the team.
He's on the roster.
He's on the roster.
Oh, his son's on the roster.
Yeah.
I thought he hired him as a coach.
No, that's for like in 2 years. They got him there. Obviously, Izzo's still on the roster. Danny Hurley's son finished with like the craziest ratio of all time. He had like 10 minutes, was like 30-0, and had like 30 turnovers. But Michigan had an entirely reshaped roster. Headline, I'd probably would say one of the headlines would be Roddy Gale from the Ohio State and also from Niagara. He's like literally right where I am right now. It's pretty much where he's from. So he'll be in. Dusty May, just all you need to know, he's the FAU guy. We got the big Russian Vlad still here. We don't have John L. Davis. He got $2.5 million in Walmart and Tyson Chicken. So he's down in Fayetteville. So, total reset for Michigan basketball. It's going to be great. But if you've looked at how Michigan football has been, as the better football has been, the worse basketball has been. So if basketball is supposed to be good this year, Lord knows what that means. But I mean, that's pretty much it for basketball. I don't know if you want to say anything, Zach. I know you guys were just in not Mexico. You were just in Spain.
Yeah, we played a couple of Spain national teams, but 2-1. The third game was, you could tell that these guys in Spain were playing for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. And we just got there and played 3 games back to back to back. So at the end, the players were like, you could tell they were just dusted. They were toast because it was like 3 games in 5 days or something. So they're like, yeah, this is just terrible. So, yeah, I mean, the big thing we really added a couple, just 2 big players, a forward, Frankie Fiddler from Omaha, which averaged 20 points a game last year. And then sorry, I'm going to say it wrong, but Saman Zapala from, he's a Polish guy. He's from Longwood, which is a center. So we added a depth center. Other than that, I mean, a bunch of new freshmen. All I've been hearing is Xavier Booker is going to take the next step and and Fears is going to be the next great one. So we'll see. I think that there's a chance that all three of our teams probably finish within the top 5 of the Big Ten. I mean, it's projected that way.
I would assume with our transfers that we got in, yeah.
I would say we're in probably good shape for where these teams. I mean, I think Purdue is going to have a little bit of a fall off, but we'll talk more about that when it comes more into that season time. But
yeah,
I think we're all in good shape where the team should be. I mean, Blake's team is a complete overhaul, so you never know.
I think 13 new guys.
Technically, we're kind of on that same thing as Blake is. I mean, we got quite a few transfers in. Quest Glover, I mean, that is a nice addition. He played pretty well at Kansas State. Sean Stewart, he has all the talent in the world. We're bringing back Micheal Johnson again. Like,
oh, God.
Kind of. I'm not sold on that one, but it is what it is. Aaron Bradshaw, I mean, that dude, you never know with him. Micah Parrish was pretty good at San Diego State. I think we're going to have I think we're actually going to have both the freshmen, John Mobley Jr. and what's his name? Colin White, I think is the guy who we got in recruiting. I think he's going to be somewhat of a off the bench pure shooter. And then we did get a guy from Croatia that like no one's talking about. He's 7'1".
Okay.
His name is, let me look it up here real quick. It's
wrong Big Ten team, it sounds like.
Ivan. Yeah, I know, right? He's 7'1". His name is Ivan.
Got to end an itch. Croatian.
Yeah. Like it is. So not many people have been talking about him, so I don't even know what to expect. I have no idea. So it's going to be interesting. What's going to happen? I mean, I don't think we really want to touch on baseball because I don't think any one of our teams is.
Ward killed that program. My baseball team is Clemson because they took my coach.
Speaking
obviously
of
Tennessee,
our coach decided to go back and be an assistant somewhere. So,
as an honorary member of the Tennessee program last year for baseball, 3-0 in attendance, and I believe I got all the boys here involved in taking them in the future or individual games. They were so much fun to watch. My goodness. They literally were like what the Yankees used to be. They would just mash. They averaged like 2.5 home runs a game. It was unbelievable. But
them versus Texas A&M were classics.
Oh yeah, and they would just kill people. I mean, like they would be down like 6-0, and you just be like, oh, don't worry, here comes the heart of the order, home run, every time. So, Simo. I wish he was on the Tigers. I mean, great, but whatever replaced the bad Simo. But we might need to do. I know we're talking. I might just be doing this on the fly eventually going forward, but we're talking about potentially ranking things. We might need to rank names. And we got Fiddler, the dude from Longwood, and we got Orgy going on in the conference. We got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, we got to just rank we got to do like a top 10 rankings of the best names.
For sure.
Because there's got to be some sick names. I've seen some.
I agree with that.
What was that guy? The one guy from Ohio State.
I'm biased. What'd you say?
What were you say? What?
Why don't you two go?
You broke up.
Cozzi's breaking up. What are you gonna say, Cozzi? Let's hear it.
Am I breaking up or are you guys?
I think Zack's breaking up, but we're there.
Okay.
Fine.
I mean, obviously the top name is Rowdy Beers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like that's that. There's no one topping that name in college football.
Yeah.
But
or what's his face? General Booty. That's a good name too.
Absolutely. Rowdy Beers too.
Speaking of which, General Booty he's starting and he transferred.
Yeah.
Where's he at now?
Houston?
Oh.
No, not Houston.
It's Maybe. Not. It's a group of 5 school. I don't remember what it is.
It is a group of 5 school. Louisiana Monroe.
There you go.
They're playing tomorrow.
I believe they are. Yeah.
And Jackson State.
We get to watch some booty.
Shout out the under.
So.
Cool.
One of our good friends loves that under. So if you're listening to this now, if you listen to this right away, that's a little sneak peek for you. All right, looking here. Quickly, we can preview the Big Ten. We'll just go through quickly some of the teams, some things that are going on. I think you got to start with Oregon, right?
I was going to say we have 13 plus new quarterbacks in the conference this year. Should be interesting.
I mean, we have 18 teams in the conference now. I mean, there's so many teams in this conference. I was going to say we could start out with who's your dark horse to compete to get to the Big Ten title? Maybe not even win it, but get there. Like someone out of left field.
I've been on record. I think Penn State will be in the game. They have no chance of winning it, but I'd be surprised if they aren't there, as crazy as that sounds. I mean their schedule.
Penn State's probably that dark horse. If you're going to pick like a dark horse, I'd say like Rutgers, but that's all based on like if they get decent quarterback play because their schedule's so easy.
So that's where I got to stop everyone, okay?
We're going to argue on this one, so go ahead. I want to hear this.
First of all, their best player on defense blew his ACL out. R.I.P. Everyone says good quarterback play. Dude, it's the Greek kid from Minnesota who was 18th last year.
Yep.
Like, not even 18th. Probably lower. I mean, Zach, you had like, what, 4 quarterbacks? I had like 8 play. Cozzi had at least 3 play. Dude might have been 30th in quarterbacking in the conference.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand. I mean, if you look at Rutgers, they clearly don't care about football. Their basketball team is unbelievable. They're like a number 2 recruiting class in the country.
Yeah,
they're pumping out money for that. But find a quarterback, dude. It's Rutgers.
Yeah.
They have like one of the best running backs in the conference by far.
That's what I'm banking on.
He is plus 500 on the DraftKings Sportsbook to lead the conference in yards, tied with Donovan Edwards for first, which I would not take Donovan.
Look, okay.
Yeah, what is that?
Here's the thing. Here's what I will say about our dark horse, and I'm going to be honest with you. It might be Iowa.
I think so.
It might be Iowa.
Yeah.
And by the way, I am so ready for one of these conferences to get screwed one of these years.
Yeah.
With these tiebreakers that go into effect, and we're all going to be sitting like, perfect example, hypothetically speaking, let's say either Oregon or Ohio State go undefeated, and let's say everyone else loses 2 games in the conference, and it comes down to like a 4-way tie, and all of a sudden, because of the tiebreaker, it's Rutgers versus Oregon or Ohio State for the Big Ten title. How mad do you think the Big Ten is going to be?
I think that could happen this year. I mean,
exactly.
You could have a 3-way tie in theory between Ohio State.
There's a strong chance.
You might have a rematch between Ohio State and Penn State, and Oregon's like, come on, we could replay that great game. What's probably going to happen in week 6, 7?
Yeah, like let's say it's a field goal win by whoever, and then there's a 3-way tie between Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon.
Yeah,
and
you look at Oregon, Washington last year. It was a great game both times.
Yeah.
I mean, because at least the Big Ten title games be competitive this year, because I know Michigan never had a competitive one. The one that you guys had against Northwestern was at least like kind of fun. And then before that, the game used to be fun. So.
No. Wisconsin, when we played Wisconsin in 2019, was it?
Yeah.
2019? No, 2018. 2018. Wisconsin could have won the game and went to the playoff, and we came from behind and beat them.
Yeah, I mean,
we also did that in 2019 to them too.
Like I literally said, I think in the history of East-West, I don't even know if it was ever that good. Like I think of the last good Big Ten title game, I think of Zack versus Iowa. Le'Veon Bell. That game was unbelievable.
The last really good one, because there wasn't really any good games because everything was kind of a blowout. Even before that, it was
like I seriously am trying to think of the Michigan scores. I think we probably won legitimately like 140 to like 15.
No, hold on, wait. It was
Purdue gave you kind of a
okay. No, it was the 2016 game. That was a pretty good game, wasn't it?
I don't even know who played.
I remember one year you beat Wisconsin by like 100.
Well, that was 2014, and we needed to do that.
To get in.
Yeah, we needed to do that to get in. So I'm going to go back and look, because there was one year where we played Wisconsin, and it was an outstanding game. It was the 2017 game when we played Wisconsin. That was the game that was Wisconsin and us went back and forth, and it came down to the wire. We won 27-21.
If we're talking about 7 years ago games, that means that the Talon's title games are just
Let's see here.
terrible.
So
right,
Michigan won 26-0,
I don't even know.
43-22, 42.
West never won a game. RIP.
Well, and here's the thing: we were down 21-7 in 2019 to Wisconsin, and we came back and won 34-21. So
nuts.
It could end up being a great game, but like we said, I think that there's so many tiebreakers that are going to go into this thing. You're going to end up with, I mean, just go look at Iowa's schedule right now, and we can look at it. And
yeah, they have very, 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 very.
I'm going to have to do something here real quick while we're looking up schedules. I'm going to have to shout out one of my Michigan beat reporters, Trevor. He always says this. And this is his theory, and I actually think he's cooking. You guys let me know if he is or not. If it's Ohio State versus Oregon, again in the Big Ten championship game, do you think one of the teams would sit their starters to be the 5 seed? Because if you look at the way the bracket works, if you're the 5 seed, you play the 12 group of 5 team at home, okay? Kind of like a tune-up game. Then you play the worst remaining conference champion. So last year that would have been what? You'd have played who won the Big 12?
Florida State. No, you played Florida State.
No.
They would have been 3rd. You would think of who would have been
Texas. Well, no, you got to remember Texas won the Big.
But you know what I mean? So you'd be playing I don't know.
Who did Texas beat?
Kansas State or Oklahoma State. They played Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State.
So if you're, let's say you're Oregon and you lose on purpose to Ohio State, you would have played Liberty at home, which you did last year. You killed them on the neutral site. Then you'd
Liberty at home, huh?
You'd play a neutral state. What's it called? A neutral site game against
Kansas State.
One of those guys, right?
Let's say it's Kansas State. If it's Kansas State, then you're probably looking at the Fiesta Bowl, which is not that bad.
Yeah, right. So you think of that. Would you rather play those 2 games?
Yeah.
Then if you're the 1 seed, you're going to play an 8 or 9, so you'll have an extra week off. I'm a big rust guy. I don't know. I think that's just something that I do. But you start playing yourself, and you slow it down. I'm trying to think. The 8-9 seed last year would have been it would have been like an Oregon, but it's probably going to be some middle of the road, SEC team, like an Ole Miss or like an Alabama or something. You don't want to play one of those teams. I don't know. No, something that Trevor's always been talking about, because the 4 seed is going to be extremely overseeded every year. So if you're that 5 seed that sneaks in, you can make something happen.
Yeah, you can get two wins right there. So, yeah, I mean, if we're going to preview this real quick, let's just go through. I mean, we can go through real quick and just go through each team, start from top to bottom, and just go through like 2 minutes in each. Illinois, I don't know. I'm not really paying attention a whole lot to them.
Who the hell? Still got Altmaier. Bielema seems like he kind of had a really good thing going. I mean, had a lot of pros the last few years. Obviously, headlined by Witherspoon, Johnny Newton. Every year they've got a guy. Yeah. I haven't heard much this year about it, even from our boy Bielema on Twitter. He's still convinced they're going to go 8-4, but that's every year. And if he's saying 8-4, it's probably be 4-8, because he was saying like 10-2 last year. So I know they play. I think they still play Kansas again at home, so that it'll be cool to see Kansas up there. But they're still holding on for basketball season.
Yeah. Indiana. Indiana has a lot of transfers. I think they have one of the
inside, man.
Most in the country.
Better watch out. I mean, he's going to bring it to Michigan and Ohio State back-to-back weeks.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Coach Stig was going nuts in his intro conference.
He literally named – they didn't even know the schedule at that point, and he literally named that we were going to – he literally named all the 3 teams that he plays at the very end of the season. I mean, look, good for them. I want to see what they actually – if they go out to UCLA and win – then UCLA needs to just rethink their football program.
Yeah, I mean their coach was shaking at his preseason press conference.
We'll get to them in a minute. We'll get
to them. Just hold on. No, we're gonna get
Indiana. You got what? The Rourke kid. He's a Canadian legend from Ohio. I mean, he's pretty good.
Really good. He was really good in 2022.
But if I'm Indiana, it's all about Juju Lewis. 5-star quarterback. He's been flirting with them heavy. They said that they might. I think someone said the other day he wouldn't be surprised if he goes there, which is crazy. Yeah. I mean, if you steal a quarterback from Dion, which I don't even know if he'll be there, but more importantly, Lincoln Riley and USC, give Indiana a 5-star quarterback. We saw what they did with Jordan McLeod at JMU. Those are some tough physical teams. That style would translate in the Big Ten. And, I mean, Indiana with Tom Allen, I mean, they gave Ohio – I always think their game last year, the only one I cared about was Ohio State last year. They gave you guys hell. I mean, I know the game was ugly and gross, and we don't even need to get into last year, but it was an absolute knife fight. If they had any offense, they'd have been fine. So I think Indiana could be a sneaky team going forward, like kind of what Maryland's been doing the last few years. I think
where they go like 8-4 and they always give someone a scare, but they never
they beat an SEC team that doesn't care in a bowl game, and we use it for narratives. That's all you need to do.
They have a chance. They have never in school history won 10 games. They have a chance to like rewrite their whole history books.
Yeah,
5 years.
I think it was a great hire.
Crazy. And then we can move on to the
let's go to the
cheaters.
Blake's second favorite team, the Iowa Hawkeyes. No, we're going in order. The Hawkeyes.
Yeah, they cheated. Iowa illegally using the transfer portal. Scumbags.
Oh my
Kirk
gosh.
Ferentz rightfully suspended for a game. Disgusting.
And we will not get into cheating on this podcast.
The funniest part is Michigan didn't report them. Like we knew that they were tampering with them, but who cares? Everyone knows.
So I mean, Cade's back. Should be interesting.
When we want to talk about Iowa, look, their offense is probably going to suck again. They have a favorable schedule. I mean, Illinois State, Iowa State, Troy. I think they're going to beat Iowa State. They always find a way to beat Iowa State.
For me, it's like the Kansas State-Kansas thing. It doesn't matter how good Kansas is or how good Iowa State is. Just they always figure it out. I think they even lost the year they had Brock Purdy and Breece Hall.
Correct. They did. Yes. Iowa has – matter of fact, Iowa State fumbled the ball on a punt, and Iowa recovered and ended up winning on a last-second field goal.
The game Trump was at? I think Trump was at that game. Or he was at it a few years ago, like a year or two ago.
Yeah, it was one of the games. But, I mean, outside of that, Iowa, you got Minnesota. Look, I think Iowa's going to beat Minnesota. Then they come to the horseshoe. I don't think they're going to beat us in Columbus. And then you got Washington, Michigan State, Northwestern, Wisconsin, UCLA, Maryland, and Nebraska.
Those are all winnable games. You might be favored in at least half.
They might roll into Indianapolis again. With only loss being at Ohio State.
How are all these teams getting these BS schedules? And I play 3 top 5 teams.
We have to go on the road to Oregon.
I play Texas and Oregon and Ohio State.
The only unfortunate thing is we would have played Washington this year, but we had to reschedule because they joined the Big Ten.
Iowa could defense their way back into Indy again. Shocker.
I don't know about Cade, dude. That video from Cade.
Dude, those stat lines were nuts.
I don't know what's worse, the video or Kirk Ferentz going, well, this is what we've been seeing throughout all of spring or all of summer practice.
If they don't mention, the guy doesn't know how the internet works.
If he goes like 10 for 30 and they don't mention him, I don't know, man.
Who are you gonna put in?
The linebacker again.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. Anyways, enough about Iowa because
the Maryland Terrapins should be interesting again.
The Terrapins.
Yeah, Turpin, the return guy for what team was he on?
The Terrapins. Fuck, I'm half asleep, man.
He sounded like he was Southern. Terrapins. Who's even their quarterback? I know they had that white kid that did the tush push against Michigan.
Sound like you're Southern. Save on.
Yeah, right. I don't know if you watched that Michigan-Maryland game last year, but they had this backup quarterback that did the tush push like 4 times. I don't know if he's their quarterback or not, but
I don't know. I don't know who's their quarterback. I don't even know if they've named their starting quarterback.
I'll guess Maryland's going to go 6-0. They're going to play somebody good. Usually it's Ohio State, and then they're going to lose out.
Okay, hold on. Let me count it up. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I don't even look. I'm not even looking. I promise.
6. Okay. Actually, it works out perfect. They got UConn, Michigan State, at Virginia, Villanova, at Indiana, Northwestern, and then they get USC, at Minnesota, at Oregon.
Yeah, we don't even know who their quarterback is, Blake. We can't say they're going to beat.
Yeah,
USC.
we can't say that. At Oregon,
come on, you can't do that.
They go to Oregon, and then by the way, Blake, you are right, because after Oregon they play Rutgers, which whatever. But then they play Iowa and Penn State back to back. So
Penn State will win by 100 on as James Franklin always does.
Yeah. So should be interesting.
Brutal back half of that schedule. My goodness.
You don't even know who their quarterback is, so
they'll be ranked 20 again. You know how it goes.
Yeah. We'll skip our teams and we'll go through the rest of the teams and come back. Minnesota.
So is that running back hurt or not? That's kind of their whole season.
Darius Cole.
Yeah. Someone said he got banged up the other day. I know he's on your fantasy team, so I don't know.
I don't know. I have not heard anything.
I think they win tomorrow night.
I think it's a toss-up. Obviously, the spread, no shit, Blake. I sneaky love these games. Like I know the Big Ten recently, they've been putting a lot. I don't know. The last few years they've been doing like the Thursday or Friday night like Big Ten West type game. I mean, this is an all-time fun game. Like I know this is the back end of a home and home. Like what a random home. This is the most college video game home and home of all time. Just like why are we playing them? Whatever. It's cool. So I know Fleck is kind of warning at his welcome a bit. It seems like among the fan base. But at the same time, it's a pretty rational fan base. It's like, dude, we're just here to not get fined.
But another team with a transfer quarterback, Max Brosmer from, I forget where he came from. It's like New Hampshire, I think it is.
Is that the New Hampshire kid?
Yeah, the New Hampshire kid. Should be interesting. See how it translates. That's the big thing. See how it translates from, group of four.
Not even. I think that's C2, right?
New Hampshire FCS.
Yeah.
No, they're FCS.
Okay.
They're FCS.
FCS.
I'll just say this. Fleck, the problem with Fleck is, and he's wearing out his welcome, but like they have to know, like, look, if we win 6 games a year and go bowling, that is like the height of us. Like, or we're good with that. They went bowling. Yes, they went 5-7. Yes, they got the whole academic. We're going to put you in a bowl because we don't have enough bowls to fill all these.
Hey, all bowls count.
At the end of the day, you got to look at it like this, and it's 8-4 is probably 10-2 is their ceiling that they already hit with him once. Didn't they go 10-2 or 9-3 or something?
Yeah,
at Western, I know they did. I don't know if they did at Minnesota.
Over under is like 4.5 wins or something like that. So it should be interesting to see what happens. Somewhere around there.
Yeah, they went actually in 2019. They went 11-2 with a bowl win against Auburn, 11-2, and their 2 losses were to Iowa and Wisconsin.
The team was pretty good.
Oh, that's right. Everyone went nuts because they beat Penn State. They upset Penn State.
Oh my God! Yes,
in
you're
2019.
Right.
So, yep.
All right, next team.
So,
what were we gonna say?
I was just gonna say like that. You just got to expect like they can't really emphasize and say, "Hey, we're gonna be like 10-2 every year."
Yeah. Just
be realistic.
Yeah. Next team, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Should be interesting.
Dylan Raiola.
Dylan Raiola's season.
They're finally able to live up to the hype. They've always been hyped, always been going nuts. I get it this year.
Yeah, but here's the thing: they're not that hyped this year.
Oh no, they're very.
They're not.
Oh brother, what are you looking at?
I don't know what you're seeing, but they're very overhyped. I think everybody's saying that they're going to win like 9 games. And I don't know, man. What I saw last year.
I think they're winning 8 games.
Unless they somehow.
Matt Rule is the answer. They're at least winning 8 games.
Dude, he made Temple good. You know how hard that is to do?
Okay. Well, I mean, I want you to really look at their schedule. They're going to beat UTEP easily. They're going to beat Colorado. They're going to beat Northern Iowa. And then you get Illinois, Purdue, Rutgers, and Indiana before you come to Columbus. they could come into Columbus 7-0.
Yeah, it is Nebraska, so they'll drop one of them, but still, that's
6-1 coming into Columbus.
Full eligible going into Columbus. That's crazy.
Yeah, it should be.
And granted, the back half of the schedule is not easy. I mean,
Nightmare.
You're probably going to beat UCLA, but then you got to go to USC, play Wisconsin, and then Iowa.
Yeah.
Which you're looking at 8-4.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a good season. And then they'll go that, and I'm already betting on them in their bowl game. I don't care who it is. I'm already betting on them. Their whole they'll sell that place out. Doesn't matter where it is. They're the longest. I think they're the longest bowl streak in Power 5.
No, that's Wisconsin. That's Wisconsin. You mean?
No, like longest without a bowl.
Yeah.
They haven't had a bowl in like 7-8 years.
They're going to be like Indiana fans when Indiana went back to the tournament for the first time, and they put Indiana in Portland, and when they put them in Portland, Indiana fans sold out Portland. It was a home game.
Yep.
That's how they're going to be. Yes, they will sell that place out.
So yeah, Nebraska should be interesting. I don't know. It's so hard to predict this type of stuff. Freshman quarterback. They brought in a couple players, but it's tough to say because their team was just pretty bad last year. Pretty bad. I mean, they won 5.
Very bad.
I'm pretty sure they started off 5-2 or 5-3 and lost 4 straight and didn't make a bowl.
Jeff Sims experience at Walmart, Brock Purdy.
Yeah, it was interesting.
I missed the Jeff Sims experience. That was a great few weeks. Oh my goodness.
I mean, Jeff Sims had 62 passing yards in the Maryland game.
Who was it? We had that one guy. There was that one guy in the Big Ten chat that he absolutely had a full on crash out when they lost to one of the games. I forgot who it was. We were all just giving him crap. I forgot which game it was. They're like, the refs robbed us. It's like your quarterback had 5 turnovers.
It was the game against us where we won 21-10.
It's like, bro, your quarterback had 5 turnovers.
Oh no, I remember this.
It might have been like a Tuesday night game or Thursday night game. It might have been one of the Thursday night games.
No, it wasn't. It was Michigan State though. It was a Saturday afternoon game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was at noon. I was dead asleep. I showed up to the game.
It was when Jeff Sims was playing. Keep going.
It was the Maryland game. It was a Friday night. It was 13-10 was the final. Yes.
Because Baby Tua kept giving the ball back, and Jeff Sims and Baby Tua were just going back and forth.
Yeah. It's nuts. So yeah, next team, the team that was so hyped last year, probably one of the best underrated.
They did everything
last year. They did everything last year, and now they have nothing because they don't have a stadium, and they're playing in front of 5,000 stands. Northwestern.
Okay.
They did everything Colorado thought they did, and that's all I care about.
Yeah. Correct. Yes, you are right. They did everything Colorado.
That guy, who I don't even know his name, which is a crime, not getting Coach of the Year is the biggest robbery of all time.
David Braun, right?
I don't know how.
What's his name?
It's crazy, dude. I mean,
so
the win total was 1.5 in Vegas last year or 2, and they played 2 D2.
And they won 9 games or 8 games.
They won 8 games. They won 7-5 and won the bowl game.
Yeah, they
7-5.
beat
There you go.
It's plus 250 underdogs.
Awesome.
It was great. What?
Who they beat in the bowl game? I forgot.
They beat Utah 14-7.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a defensive battle. I remember.
God, they were awesome.
That was my.
Hey, just remember, they were literally in the conversation to win the West at one point. Had they actually beat Iowa?
Yeah,
I think it was before that game. I don't know if you guys remember. There was a chance for a 6-way tiebreak.
Yep,
there was.
Yeah. Had they beat Iowa, everyone had it figured out to where it could have been a 6-way tie of everybody at 4 and 5.
God, it would have been awesome.
Oh man, that would have been so funny.
I was looking at my chops. I'm like, who are we playing? I want to see which one of these bad teams. I wanted it to be someone more fun than Iowa. Iowa was just boring.
That would have been a fun game. They were actually playing some good offense.
We don't talk about that enough. The Big Ten championship game last year was maybe the worst game of football I've ever watched.
Oh, it was tough. Iowa had I'm pretty sure at one point Iowa tried to run the ball 15 times in a row because they just gave up. They just kept running counters. And I'm just like, what are they doing? They didn't even throw it downfield once.
Deacon Hill was like it looked like Army Navy, Michigan versus especially the second half when we pulled everybody.
Yeah, it was a mess. The first half was just I don't even know what to call it. I don't know how it happened. At some point, I thought Iowa had a chance, and then they threw a pick, and then it was over.
But yeah, Northwestern. I think they play you, right? They play you at Wrigley.
They do. Okay, so I'm disappointed because it's at Wrigley and it's not at their makeshift stadium. Very disappointed in that.
I am planning to pull up to that game next year with my boat, so we'll see. We're probably going to do the same thing with us. I guarantee we're at Wrigley.
You are going to definitely be at Wrigley, 1,000%, because they only have 24,000 people that can sit at that. Maybe not even. I kind of
love it though. I know everyone's.
I do too.
And here's a fact. Here is your local sailing fact. That thing on the water. There's going to be so many like Maction level kicks, dude. Because the spot it is, the way the wind comes off the buildings and down, it swirls, and then it hits the water, and you might even get reverse wind coming off the water in the thermal.
It's going to be negative 60 degrees at some of these games.
Exactly, and more importantly than that, you want people to kick. So unders.
Well, okay. Unders. So, by the way, the last game that they play at that makeshift stadium is October 19th. Because they have, I believe, they have 2 road games in a row, a bye week, and then both Ohio State and Illinois are at Wrigley.
Damn, I needed them to play like Iowa or Illinois on like the Black Friday before the Iowa-Nebraska game. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
And it's just freezing. You can't see them. One team's in white. You can't see them. And it's just wind everywhere. Oh, I need that.
I mean, I will say this. I'm looking at their schedule right now. You can go to now. I'm not going to say that this is the lowest, but this might be the cheapest game in the country you can go to. I just looked at it, glanced at it. Northwestern at Maryland. You can get in for $3.
That's not crazy. That's nuts.
But yeah, I was just looking at ticket prices, like because I wanted to see. Wrigley is so expensive for Ohio State at Northwestern, and it's like I'm disappointed because I wanted to play in that small stadium. It would have been awesome.
It's gonna be terrible. I don't know. The Wrigley thing is weird too. Teams on the same sideline and the views are terrible. And it's thankfully for the headset communication, it'll be easier instead of having to do the hand signals and all the big boards because it's like it's going to be interesting because now you can actually talk to the quarterback instead of having to run down the field and try to get them while cutting into the other team and
just Harbaugh making the game better once again. To be fair, people don't talk about that. That now we have inside helmet communication. So in a weird way, thank you, Michigan.
It's so beautiful. I heard they're having a little bit of issues with it first trial because of the volume, trying to make it sound good. But
I don't understand how any of that works. It's so loud that the opposing team could almost hear it. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, but here's the thing: they have it perfected at the NFL level. Why are they not talking with the NFL level here?
Yeah. So that's one thing that they actually did is like a couple of our coaches have talked to NFL coordinators because they're like, how does this work? What should I say and what should I not say? Because it's hard to communicate because you only get 35 seconds, I think it is. Once the 15 seconds on the clock hit, then it shuts off. Also, the other problem is you can only have one person with the green sticker. So the green sticker is going to signify who has the helmet. The problem is if you have multiple linebackers who play middle linebacker, you're going to have to be swapping out. You're going to have multiple helmets for multiple players because
if you've got multiple quarterbacks.
You get a flag. You get a flag if you have too many. If you have more than one on the field.
So, but anyways, next team up. We're going to skip me. We're going to go to our first newcomer to the conference, Oregon, which I didn't know that I could ever dislike a newcomer to the conference so much.
I'm so torn on them, dude. I think they're either going to win a national championship and go 16-0, or they could go 9-3. I don't really see much of a middle ground. I don't know if that's crazy.
No, I don't think you're crazy either.
Damn, the Pac-12, like you saw those games Oregon would do traditionally, even before Dan Lanning. They'd always drop a bad game. And the bad game in the Pac-12, you get that weekly. Like they'd meet Stanford with the trenches. Every team's a Stanford trench-wise in the Big Ten. Like they can find themselves in some very tricky situations. Granted, they've recruited like an SEC team. They've brought in a ton of stuff. They've bought almost as much of a team as Ohio State has. I don't know. I mean, I know Michigan, the way that the certain circles that I've heard, they're taking Oregon as seriously as Ohio State. So I think at least Michigan thinks they're going to be good. But
I'm just gonna say this: if they lose to us on October 12th,
it's not over.
No. But the following Friday, they go to West Lafayette, Indiana, for an 8 p.m. kick at Purdue, and everybody knows how that kind of goes.
I think it's more if they win.
If they win, it's absolutely a trap game. But if they lose, you could literally see, and not to phrase it this way, but the train fall off the tracks at Purdue.
Yeah.
I like that. See what you did there. But it's weird. Yeah. The way that their schedule works, right? They obviously play Ohio State.
Yep.
Then they play Michigan. And then when do they play? They play Washington at the end.
I mean, they play Washington the last week of the season.
Washington, even Michigan, Ohio State, clearly Ohio State's favored this year. Washington, Oregon, clearly Oregon favored this year. But until you beat them, you got to put it on there.
And by the way, not to mention, November 16th, they go to Wisconsin. That's I mean, there's a lot of games that they're not like gonna be used to playing. Like
how about week 2?
Okay. I looked. No, you mean week 3 or week 2?
Their second game.
Boise State.
Look, okay. I would love for that to happen, but I just don't think it happens.
Especially them at home.
I think Oregon State gets more fired up because them as a team with a great coach
and a fan base,
which is pissed. That game at Oregon State is going to be loud as hell.
I think one of the states wins.
They are going to. That is a 3:30 Fox game already. That place is going to be absolutely insanity.
Everyone in the country outside East Lansing will be rooting for the Beavers.
Correct.
Nobody in East Lansing has any bad blood with them.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Nobody here has any bad blood.
I'm just saying, some people through the grapevine, I've heard about Digital Dam.
Oh man. Dog, they came in one of our spaces the other day, and they're like, they were telling us how bad Oregon is in every other sport except track. It was just very funny. They're like, the last 5 years we own them, blah blah blah. They talk about like their baseball, obviously, because they just had another kid, Brazada. I think he's in the Guardians now.
He's
really good. He's really good.
Guardians.
I didn't realize it was like their third guy going number 1 overall in the last like 5 years.
They're a really good team.
He's already moved up in our minor league system, so he's
now that we can touch on Oregon a little bit more at the end because we're going to do predictions. But let's move on to the Nittany Lions and Penn State.
Look,
this is it.
Look, this is your one chance with the schedule. You have one game. You play Ohio State
roster
at home.
That's you have a 1-game season. I don't believe
you play Ohio State at home, and here's the thing. I'm not going to lie. It is a very worrisome game for me because there have been so many. No, hear me out.
Get a grip.
There have been so many games that have been cutthroat in their rivalry. This isn't – Michigan usually handles business against Penn State. We always have, like, we're trailing, and then, boom, pick 6.
He's a Heisman candidate, Heisman winner. He's Ndamukong Suh at Nebraska against Penn State.
Okay, here's the thing. That always happens, though, when we go to Penn State or when we play Penn State in general. There is always a defensive touchdown by us, a pick 6, a fumble recovery, always a defensive touchdown by us.
Or a special teams by them.
See? And that's what I'm saying. They had that one time. But every time there's something crazy that happens in that game. like JT Barrett going 16 for 16 in the fourth quarter and willing us to a victory. Like, there's something that happens, and it's always very cutthroat. That's the only reason I'm a little bit worried, is because we have beat them in every single fashion imaginable, like that you could think of. That one time it's gonna be the squirrel finds the nut at one point.
Could be.
Yeah.
So other than that, though, I mean, if they go out to USC and lose, actually, if they lose Saturday, what the fuck is this? Excuse my language. What do you think? I don't want to get you kicked off YouTube, but
you're fine.
What do you think Franklin is gonna?
Here's the take.
I think this West Virginia thing is overhyped. Way too overhyped.
And I've been on record. He to me is Harbaugh a few years ago, right? You always win the big game, or you always win the games you should probably win, and then you lose the big one. They will kill West Virginia. They will kill USC. They will kill Maryland. They will lose to Ohio State in heartbreaking fashion. Then Ohio State will back to recover like they always do. Like the last few games that they played, it's been a close game for 4 quarters. And you look at the box score, it's like, wait, they lost by 15? How did that happen? Like the one like a few years ago with Sean Clifford. It's like the game was super tight, and it's all of a sudden like, wait, I lost my money. I lost my spread bet. What the hell happened here? So I'm not believing it. That is literally you gotta show me to do it. And again, I think I don't know if I'm totally off base here. It's literally Jim Harbaugh. Like Jim would only beat Penn State. He'd always lose to Michigan State. He'd always lose Ohio State. And then whenever we'd play a weird team, he'd kill them. And then week 1 they're gonna kill him. USC, I've already run over, but they're gonna kill those teams. And I don't know. They can't beat Ohio State. They got 11-1. You know, Drew Aller is gonna be the JJ McCarthy of this year to the outside world, where it's like, why is he going top 10? The class sucks. He's got the size. I don't think he'll go, barring them having a really good season. But they got Singleton, Allen, and him, and Abdul Carter. I think are all juniors that are probably going to leave, and that's their best 4 guys, and it's not close. So, yeah.
Should be interesting. Yeah, I mean, this is their chance. This is their best team that they've had in a pretty good while.
I think Franklin might leave on his own. I'm dead serious. You know, and someone mentioned the other day in the chat, I'm sorry if it was one of you two, he might mess around and find himself in Gainesville next year. Someone said that, and it sounded really good to me.
Yeah. It would make sense.
Not out of the realm of possibilities, to be honest.
Yeah. Someone said it in the chat. I'm totally stealing their idea. It was a very good one, though. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I could see that. I think it's Lane Kiffin, but that's a whole different thing.
All right. Next team, Purdue. Always the sneaky team that upsets somebody, most likely, but still kind of in that weird phase where they're a little bit of an unknown. Hudson Card is their quarterback again. Didn't have a fantastic season last year, but we'll see. I mean, it's tough to say what's going to happen with them. I don't know if you guys have any comments on them.
They got a really good recruit or something recently. I don't know, but their coach is he's the D coordinator for our what's it called, from Illinois. He's doing stuff.
Yeah,
they have that one running back, Maccabee or whatever. That's all. I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to say about them.
I mean,
Rutgers. We kind of
actually. I want to see them. I want to see them against Notre Dame if they can put up a fight at all.
Yeah.
And then we'll be able to tell more. Yeah, let's go to Rutgers. Obviously, they lost their best player.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I feel like they're a very interesting team, and I think we're going to know more because they go to Blacksburg at the end of September.
They beat them last year.
Once.
Yeah.
But I mean,
a lot better.
Look, with their schedule, the way it's set up, I mean, you have a lot of teams there that you can look at and you can say, hey, they could win a lot of games.
Yeah.
I will say this. Amazing job by Fox on getting Big Ten After Dark started with an 11 p.m. kickoff.
Against USC. That's nuts. That's so crazy.
I just want to know why they didn't have like Washington play at USC at 11 p.m. instead of, hey, you know what? Let's make the most East Coast team play at 11 p.m. And by the way, the most East Coast team that nobody cares. Literally nobody cares.
I know one guy cares, but
well,
so
yeah,
there's that viewership. I want to see the viewership of the state of New Jersey for that game. I just want to see how many people are actually going to watch that game.
It's going to get the Hawaii treatment. It'll be the most bet on game that week. Guarantee it. Always the get back, end of the week, reset the book, the bounce.
And it's a Friday, so if anybody's playing early the next day morning, people are just going to be pissed that they're up till like 2 a.m. watching this game.
Yeah, you'll just be at the bar.
Yeah.
Wait, that's a conference game? What the hell? Right.
Is this recorded? Is this an old game? Yeah. It's like,
where's Michael Penix? What's going on?
So yeah, it should be interesting.
And now to our another newcomer.
UCLA
we shall talk about Deshaun Foster and
his
introduction to the Big Ten.
Hey, if you guys didn't know, we're from LA.
I think the fact they made a merch line out of it is almost worse. They're trying to like lean into like that it was like a funny meme. Dude.
That was probably the worst press conference or whatever you want to call it that I've ever seen a coach have.
Dude, it was so bad.
He got up there and he's just like, yeah, we're from LA. We play football. We're coming to the Big Ten and we're excited.
We're not afraid of the big lights. Yes, we are.
Like, dude,
have a worse press conference than Mike Gundy, who said, "Don't we all drink and drive?" Like a month
that
ago.
Was nuts. Yeah, that was crazy.
How do you have a worse press conference than that? I mean, come on.
All right, we don't have much to talk about them. Ethan Garber.
They're just not going to be good. They're gonna if they win 6 games, good for them.
Yeah,
Ethan Garber will be good. It'd be another gritty team. I mean, I would compare them to like I don't know, like Nebraska of a few years ago.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I mean,
they lost a lot with Chip obviously leaving. Everyone else kind of dipped.
Yeah. And by the way, just to let you know, week 3, I believe it is. Yes, week 4 of the college football season. They go to the Slaughterhouse at LSU, so that'll be real fun for UCLA to play.
They have a stretch in their season where they play LSU, Oregon, Penn State back to back.
Yeah, LSU plays both LA teams. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty. Soon.
But there you are correct. There is a at LSU, Oregon, at Penn State. That is like a 3-week stretch.
That's terrible.
God, I hope they got a bye week in there.
They do not. That's 3 straight games in a row.
Oh.
That's a gauntlet. Speaking of the other LA team, I don't know if you knew this team was from LA, but they're from LA too.
No, I had no idea. Did you know that they're going to come in and run the Big Ten?
Yeah, USC, the 23rd overall team right now. Miller Moss leading the team. I don't know. I think it's interesting because they have a pretty good returning production, but also at the same time, it's hard to say anything because their defense was just so rough last year. It's just how it was. It was just so rough, and can you fix that? Can you fix it, or are you going to have another 7-5 season?
I'm just going to say this. Everything is on Michigan to introduce them to the Big Ten, and we'll just go from there because
that will happen.
If you let them walk into the Big House and win, and we were to lose to Oregon, and then Oregon was to walk into the Big House and win, do you know the backlash that the conference as a whole is going to take?
It's just a tough.
That would be like that. Oregon and USC fans would be running around going, "We own the conference. We own the conference. We told y'all."
And USC has a tough schedule. They play.
That's fine. They can have a tough schedule. I think that they're 7-5.
Yeah, they play Michigan. They play LSU, they play Wisconsin, they play Penn State, they play Notre Dame. They have some tough games on their schedule. Should be interesting to see what happens.
I really want to see what happens when, and I wish this game was later. I was hoping at Minnesota would be in like November. How do you think Southern California boys are going to show up, waking up on a Saturday? Hell, I mean, it's Saturday in October. It could snow in Minnesota.
Absolutely.
How do you think USC guys are going to wake up and just go out there and be like, oh, we have to play in this crap? Not well.
Yeah, it's weird, man. I don't know. Like, it's just not everything's making sense to me. I don't know. Lincoln had that weird. He was sick the end of last year, which was I'm interviewing for jobs to potentially go somewhere with Caleb Williams. I don't know how long he's really going to stay at USC. Apparently, he's getting a little pressure from people behind him. They've said like he might be like almost getting forced out, which is I think insane. But I mean, you just look around and not a lot of this is making sense to me. To me, every year there's always the let's get cute team. Like Penn State last year was the let's get cute team. Everyone's like, Penn State, they got the best quarterback in the conference. They're going to make a run. People are like penciling in USC in their playoff this year. I'm not even kidding with you. Like, I don't know what their win total is. They could be good. I think them 8-4 is a good season. You know, but like, cause you're coming off of no Heisman quarterback. Oddly enough, people have been saying, and I kind of do get what they're coming from, that they might actually upgrade with Caleb Williams being gone, which I kind of understand because he was just hero balling, wouldn't let Lincoln do his thing. But I mean, Lincoln turns everyone into Heisman, so I'm not really worried about Miller Moss, but against the defense. They made a lot of really good hires. They have a few good transfers coming in, but I think they're going to need time. And they won't have enough time before Michigan dismantles them week 4. But down the road, they could definitely make some noise. But again, Lincoln Riley ran from the SEC, and you just find yourself in the Big Ten with the best of the Pac-12 that you couldn't beat anyway. It's weird. It's weird. I think they're gonna have a new coach next year.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
Moving on to
Bears fire Eberflus, and they get him.
Yeah, this might be the weirdest team because
I don't know what to make of it.
A national championship appearance to losing like 18 starters or whatever they lost to Washington. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. They just have it's almost like a whole fresh new team and a fresh new coaching staff. DeBoer leaves for Alabama, and Jed Fish shows up, and he can't bring his 2 best transfers. So it's really weird, really interesting to me to see what happens.
I think we're biased on this podcast. We love Jed Fish. Yeah. We are big fans. I think that he is going to have the dogs barking within a few years again. If he stays, because he is a Gator, so there's
another interesting one.
But they have a pretty easy schedule to start the season. I mean, Weber State, Eastern Michigan, Washington State, Northwestern, Rutgers. I mean, that's before Michigan. Those are a few tune-up games. Maybe they could kind of get some momentum going into the Michigan game. I think they're playing Michigan at 4-1. I think they're better than Northwestern. It's also a home game. I don't think Northwestern is going to respond well traveling that far away. It's very hard to play in Washington. I think, sure. Yeah, I mean, but then you look at the rest of their schedule, like you got Iowa, USC, Penn State, Oregon, like they're going to struggle down the stretch. I think 6-6 is a realistic possibility for them. And I think that they should take that and run with it, considering they lost like 75% of their production, probably more than that.
I'll be in attendance for the game against them. You couldn't really tell me a lot of guys that's on their team. They do have the all-time SEC leading passer on their team, which you got to think about. But who really knew who Fafita and McClellan were before last year? So he kind of turned a lot of lower guys. I know McClellan was a 4-star, but you know what I mean, like unknown guys and really good guys. And that's kind of what happened with Washington. Every 5-6 years they kind of just are really good and then kind of dip back down. They're really good and dip back down, which I wouldn't hate if I'm a fan of a team like that. But Actually, I was looking at the recruiting the other day. They got a sneaky, really good class coming in.
They're not
like,
that bad. Yeah.
Top 15 or something in the country?
I think they're 13th right now overall. So I mean, which I can't believe we missed with all those charts that are posted in our group chat.
I'll tell you one thing.
I would have guessed it.
They came really close to taking Andrew Marsh from Michigan. Like Michigan had to re-up their money, like right before the commitment, because he pushed his commitment back like an hour, and that was when everyone went into full-on panic mode. Like Michael Scott office scene when they're on fire. Oh my God! Like everyone went nuts. So they got some NIL out there for sure, and a fun hoops team.
I'm just gonna say this for the 2025 recruiting class and stuff like that. No one is definitely on your team until they are enrolled in classes.
I mean, that with Jeremiah, man, he was at the table faking signing things. Like it was a stressful day for everyone. And Ryan Day almost had a heart attack at the stand.
Pretty much. So we're gonna go with on to Wisconsin because they got a big one in non-conference. And I'm just gonna say it plain outright. They got a big one in non-conference.
Yeah.
I said it's a career-defining game for both coaches. I did a quick video earlier in the year, talk about the biggest games of the year. I had this as like number 2 or 3. I'm like, because you got 2 programs, so many questions on both sides. Obviously, we'll focus on the Wisconsin side, but God knows there's questions on the Bama side.
It's got to be 1 or 2 biggest. Probably, I would say 2, maybe 2 or 3 biggest non-conference game. I don't know. It might be.
It's why Saban left. Michigan ran him out of town. He's scared of the Big Ten.
It might be number 1. It honestly might be number 1. I think
Texas, Michigan is probably number 1. And outside of that, I don't know who else we're talking about. I mean, LSU, USC, cool. Like that's.
I think another game that's pretty much the same to me as Wisconsin, Alabama is Texas A&M, Notre Dame. I think it's another defining game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
A defining game for both coaches.
Yeah.
Kind of same thing with Miami, Florida as well, like up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Fickle's got to kind of show what's going on. He had a really good thing going with Wisconsin, and you're like, oh, we're going to air raid now at Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you what right now, Wisconsin does not have an easy road. So we got Alabama. They go to USC the week after Alabama, or they actually have a bye, and then they go to USC the week after Alabama. But then you go to the meat of their schedule. They got Penn State at Iowa, Oregon, right in a row. That is a gauntlet of a stretch. Now, granted, 2 are at home, but I don't really like playing. Look, you could ask every Penn State fan in America. That Penn State-Wisconsin game could be a pivotal. Is Penn State going to make that move to the top of the conference? Are they going to stay and be that always 10-2 team?
Yep. But
other than that,
God, I want to go to that game. So
should we start with the worst team out of our 3 to go first?
Okay, so never mind.
I guess we should do. I think we should do these, and then we should end the recording, and then do a separate one for like other conferences and stuff real quick.
Yeah, that's fine. We can do that.
I think that's what we should do. Just so you can split it up because it's already at a minute, hour 30. So yeah, I mean we're looking at. Like I said.
All right, go.
All right, like I said, close to probably 70% of our team gone. Aiden Childs, young quarterbacks getting to take over the keys. All the quarterbacks transferred out except for I think a walk on. But yeah, interesting to see with him. K-Ron Lynch Adams, transfer running back from UMass, is going to be splitting carries with Nate Carter. And then a bunch of young guys that have burst out. I've heard Nate Marsh and Joe Gates, they're going to probably be wide receiver 3 type thing. So it should be interesting to see what happens there. Tight end room, it's looking pretty deep as it is. Brendan Parachek, who was here before, who's been a standout, and then Jack Velling, who I think had the most receiving touchdowns as a tight end last year at Oregon State. He's going to be a great name to watch. I think that's going to be – I mean, if there's going to be Mr. Reliable, it's going to be him. He's a huge guy. He's 6'5". He's getting all boosting up draft boards. So it should be interesting. Defense, flipping over. The biggest problem was, can we stop giving up 35 points a game? And they brought in a couple of transfers to fill some D-line spots of guys who have left. The linebacker room, I mean, people say that, is this linebacker room for real? And I think that this is probably in my eyes, in the top half of the linebacker room now with, Wayne Matthews coming in, who had a great year last year at Old Dominion, who was a huge transfer player. Let's see how it translates. He's a key starter. And then Jordan Hall again, who had a great freshman year last year, kind of jumping in and seeing what we can do. I heard they're playing 5 or 6 deep and with the new scheme, they're more looking for 2 main linebackers and, a flexible person. So they're going to be kind of moving the third linebacker around. And then we brought in some transfer secondary players, some younger guys that it should be interesting to see what happens. I think bringing in a great coach, former MSU alum from Oregon as our defensive backs coach, him and Blue Adams, who's the other coach, should be interesting to see. That was like the main thing. Flip from the defense is struggling to play in the secondary to at least, making it competitive. I mean, this team is going to be young. They're going to be players that are trying to, fight for spots going throughout the entire season. So it should be interesting to see. If I had to make a prediction right now, season-wise, 6 wins is going to be where I want to be minimum. If we win 7, even if we win 8 somehow, I think that would be outstanding in a first year. But we just have to look at it as this. It's going to take some time because 61 players is not just a few. So it should be interesting to see. But if 6 wins, 7 wins come about, that's going to be a great season already, especially for a team that was at its lowest point with where we were last year. So it would be a good flip. So I think we need to move on to the next best team in the conference now and see where they're at.
Any other adjectives?
Go ahead, Blake.
Defending, reigning, current national champions. Look, the defense is self-explanatory. Special teams, who really cares? Offense, you replaced 6 guys in the O-line, all of which played. You've got some question marks there. We don't even know who our right tackle is yet. I believe it's going to be Mr. Link. That is kind of coming out of nowhere. Center's a nightmare. Crippen's hurt. Heem Anderson's in trouble. I think we have a D tackle to potentially could play center. Stuff's going on. But it's Michigan O-line. They'll be fine, right? Dom Edwards, running back. This time last year, people were talking about how he's better than Blake Corum after his crazy end of the year last year. And then Blake Corum had a generational type season, one of the best running backs I've ever seen with my 2 eyes in college. He was up there for me watching Dobbins and those guys come in and terrorize me. It was Corum was just so reliable. Great to see how he bounced back from an injury. And now you look at running back, again, Donovan, right? He's had over 20 carries 3 times in his career. Every time it's been over 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. So obviously one of them was the crazy Ohio State game. Then you had a few other ones in there. So it's good to see what he's going to do. Obviously I mentioned earlier, Jordan Marshall, is taking some reps at RB3. And you got Cleo Mullings, the bowling ball converted linebacker, still running back 2. He'll have some good run as well. But again, running backs, it's Michigan. We'll be fine. Receivers, Samaj Morgan. I don't want to hear any of that. 18 a bitch on my mama guy, calling out Ryan Day and the rest of them on Instagram Live. Probably the best interview in the country. The interview he gives after all the games are hysterical. He's going to be probably wide receiver 1. He's wearing number 0 now from 82. Tyler Morris, you might know him as that random dude that took that crossing route to the house in the Rose Bowl.
That's a nuts play.
Yeah, you think it was nuts for you, my brother. They ran towards my end zone. I was like, is that who? Tyler Morris? What? On Kool-Aid, McKinstry, and Terrion Arnold, but mostly Kool-Aid. Not Terrion. Terrion's a great player. And then you look at wide receiver 3, maybe Fred Moore, number 3 in a spring game, super fast, does his thing. But your big pass catcher is going to be Colson Loveland, the best tight end in the country, according to preseason All-American. Along with Will Johnson and Mason Graham, all 3 of them were preseason first-team All-American. First time Michigan's had 3 in God knows how long. But it all comes down to who's under center. It appears to be Alex Orji. The idea was going to be probably Tuttle and Orji splitting like JJ and K did earlier in the season, but Tuttle's very old and hurt. Now you're looking at Davis Warren potentially getting in there. I think it'll be Orji. If Orji can replicate half of what JJ McCarthy did, this team will be a dark horse in the Big Ten. As funny as it is to say Michigan being a dark horse, I think it's an acceptable answer for a dark horse, and I didn't want to say it earlier, but if Orji is half as good as Michigan fans, delusional ones, think he is, then we're fine. I know the thing going on Twitter is one of our good friends said he could have a Cam Newton season, and if he does, Michigan goes back-to-back. I think that's obviously no crap because that was one of the best seasons of all time. Yeah. But my thing is if you boil it down to simple as if you can have if you can hold on to the ball and make short yards passes, which he did in that last series in the spring game, then it's okay. But if you look at the whole Michigan running thing, Michigan was able to run the ball at will down people's throats when it was 10 on 11. Now it's going to be 11 on 11. If he's running, in theory, that's going to be great. But he just got to have some maturity and be able to take over the position in the room. That's what it sounds like, but we know you can't really trust the Michigan beat with anything. God knows this last season has proved us more of that than anything. So, I'm very, 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 very excited about this season. We will beat Texas. I'm not sure yet. Kind of like I said against Alabama. We will beat them. I'm not sure how yet, but we'll figure that out when it comes. But, Michigan, for how bad the schedule has been the last few years and how boring, relatively speaking, the product has been, you look at Michigan's schedule. We got USC at home. We got Oregon at home. We got Texas at home. It's great games. Michigan State at home even. It's a loaded schedule for season ticket holders this year. So we're finally getting a bang for our buck instead of playing Hawaii at 1 a.m. And a bunch of other nonsense teams. Even like Fresno week 1.
Fresno's interesting.
We're favored by 20 against Fresno and by 22 against Michigan State. So make of that what you will. But, I'm just very excited to see what happens. Obviously, Sharon's got a lot on his plate. And can he live up to the task? We'll see.
All right.
So a lot of pressure on us. Actually, you know what? A lot of pressure on one person in that room. And it's Ryan Day. And it's going to come down to 93 days from when we recorded this. Like, that's all that's coming down to. Because I think a lot of Ohio State fans are unsure of what's going to happen the rest of the season. But everyone's like, oh, man, Ryan Day, he beats everybody else. We really don't care. Obviously, the Oregon game is, like, a huge thing. But it's going to come down to, can you beat Michigan? If you lose to Michigan this year, and let's say hypothetically we're already clinched for Indy, I actually want him fired at the 50-yard line and not even to make the trip with the team to Indy. And it may happen. Like, that's not even a joke. Like, that's kind of where we're at with the program. They're not making it to the tunnel. Like, he's getting fired on the field. We go look at this team. You get McLaughlin, who came in. He transferred at center. You got Hinsman, who's probably going to be the right guard, which was our center. You got Fryer at right tackle. Great fucking leader. You got Donovan Jackson. He is the anchor man on that line. And then Josh Simmons. This line is actually probably one of the more developed lines we've ever had. Go ahead, say it.
Any worries that your center doesn't know how to snap?
There's some worries, but that's fine. There's some worries.
I thought he was going to play guard.
What?
Everyone told me he was going to play guard. But now he's gone.
That's
the only hole in your team, okay?
I thought he was going to play guard. but they decided they want Hinsman at guard and him at center. Is there some problems with the snaps? Yes, there can be some problem with the snaps. I'm not really worried, but here's the thing. He has experience at center.
Don't say trouble with the snap, all right?
I was going to say, like,
come on. It's a trigger word. Take it easy.
He has I don't know if I did that on purpose. Maybe I did. Anyways, he has the ability to be the team leader there. He ran pretty much was the team leader at Alabama. I can trust him there. Yeah, there was some stuff that was not great, but you got transfer in Will Howard. You got Judkins. You got Henderson coming back. This team, like everybody came back. People were down and out on us, thought people were going to leave for the draft. And, the thing is, like, Jack Sawyer could have went to the draft. I don't know if he would have been drafted that high. You got JTT could have went to the draft. I don't think he would have been drafted that high. You had other players that could have went to the draft, and they decided, you know what, we're going to come back. We're going to try and win this thing again. You got Burke back. You got Ransom back. You got transfer in Caleb Downs. You got Hancock back. You got Igbinosun back. I mean, we are loaded on defense, plus some of the backups. I mean, one of the big things is Sonny Styles moving to a linebacker. I don't know if people have seen him. He is an absolute animal, like absolute animal. You have his brother who's going to play probably in rotation. You got Hero Canoe who's going to play in rotation. You got McDonald who's going to play in rotation. I mean, this team is probably – and also, I mean, C.J. Hicks is going to play in rotation as well. You got your team leader and Cody Simons out there with Jack Sawyer, stuff like that. And then you go back to the offense side of the ball, and we're looking at wide receivers. And, I mean, there's a certain guy who's a freshman. I don't know if anybody knows him. I don't know if he's 18.
I need a birth certificate.
Yeah, seriously. Like, this dude is – I'm so excited to see him on Saturday. I am so pumped. Like, I think he's going to just have a breakout freshman year, and then it's going to be how much money can we offer up to keep him from not transferring to somewhere where he's going to get $4 to $5 million a year. Like, it's going to be that insane. Like, if he has a good season. Other thing is we bring back Fielding as our kicker. Look, he was a solid kicker. From 40 in, he was basically perfect. I mean, people aren't even talking about it. Brandon Innes is basically our fourth wide receiver. Like, that is crazy. One name to watch out for, Mylan Graham in the wide receiver room. Obviously, everyone knows Mbuka and Carnell Tate, but Mylan Graham is going to make some noise. Obviously, Jaden Ballard. Yeah, I mean, he just hasn't developed the way I think he should be, but hey, you know what it is. Also, I mean, G. Scott at tight end, but there's going to be another tight end. He's a transfer from OU. It's Will Kamarick. He is a massive dude, very tall. Look out for him in the red zone. And then I'm going to tell you what, we are going to punt the shit out of the ball. We have this Aussie punter, Nick Malarty. He punted the ball, and I've watched this video, and he did it like multiple times over a stadium. Like, he punted it 90 yards. Now, granted, that's not with the snap. That's not with pressure coming at you. He took his time. Look, if he's going to average me 60 yards a punt, I will be very happy with that. Overall, I don't even want to go 16-0, win a national. I don't want to go 16-0 and win. I just want to win a national championship. You don't have to be perfect now to make the playoffs.
You only got to beat one team.
Got to beat Michigan. And then here's the other thing. If you lose to Oregon, get them back in the Big Ten title game, and everything will be fine.
You're not losing to Oregon.
I don't think we are either. I think Oregon is very much an up-and-down team. I think that you look at our schedule, it's unfortunately non-conference is just crap. I mean, even if we played Washington in non-conference, look, that wasn't going to be amazing. Now, granted, the next 4 years after this, amazing non-conference.
You're behind us with the non-conference schedule.
Yeah, I mean, literally, the next 4 years, I know we play Texas back-to-back at a home and home, and then Alabama back-to-back home and home. Awesome. All in all, it's championship or bust, and it's definitely on Ryan Day. If you make the national championship game and you lose to, like, Georgia, that's going to hurt, but Ryan Day's job is safe. If you don't win the Big Ten, and God forbid you don't get the 5 seed and you're like a 6 seed or 7 seed or 8 seed or even playing on the road because you lost at Oregon and at Penn State, you are on the hot seat majorly, and I'm not quite sure where we go from there. So I think it's definitely, at worst case scenario, has to be a 5 seed or he's on the hot seat. If you host a playoff game, and let's say hypothetically we play, God only knows. Let's say we play Ole Miss at home and we were to blow it in the playoffs. Ryan Day would be walked out the room as well. So I'm just saying, I don't think that's going to happen, but there's a lot of pressure on Ryan Day. And then outside of that, I mean, look, this team is absolutely loaded. Absolutely loaded. I mean, you could put us up against just about every roster, and I think that we might have the best roster. I think Georgia was given the nod because of Kirby. So other than that, that's kind of my season preview for us.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so I think that's all we have for this episode here. We'll probably do another one quick, like maybe conference preview one out. I think that's pretty much all we have for now. So any other closing thoughts, gentlemen?
No, I just want football to start.
Absolutely. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Yeah.